So I really enjoy games that even after 50 or 100 hours still offer amazing things to discover, and there are quite a lot left in Spider-Man 2. That's why today we're going to take a look at some really awesome ways to go pretty much up into the stratosphere, ways to change the weather as well as the time of day, and many more secrets like these. So let's jump right in. But to start things off, you can actually already change the time of day as well as the weathers by just following a very simple step-by-step solution. And I'm going to show you first how to do it and then some of the locations that you can use to change the specific times or weather effects. So first things first, you're going to make use of some of these Mysteriums around New York. You're just going to have to head over to one and enter inside. As that area around you is still loading and you see the green swirling effect just still continuing, immediately open up the map menu. From this point on, hover over your current Mysterium, hold triangle to replay the challenge. This is then going to bring you right inside of it and a countdown timer will start. Point at which you're going to want to immediately pause the game as the countdown timer is still going and then immediately abandon the mission. If you did this the proper way, you're going to immediately see the weather / the time of day around New York changing to the exact same one that was present inside of that Mysterium. That is why only a handful of Mysteriums around New York actually do work in changing the weather or the times of day. So here are some of the best. So for example, this one right here in Chinatown will change the time of day to that beautiful yellow warm color morning sun that you can go ahead and immediately just enjoy. It's one of my favorites, in fact, in the entire game. Gives you some really nice contrasts between the lights and shadows, and it's one of the best in my opinion when it comes to screenshots. Another one is right here in Midtown. I know that a lot of you really prefer midnight, so this is going to be the place you can change it to. I know a lot of players actually do want to go back at playing during nighttime, so this is by far the best to pull this off. No other weather effects unfortunately, so don't expect any rain during this. But if you do want rain, you do have an option, which is right here in the Upper East Side, right by the bridge. If you change at the Mysterium, you're going to immediately get this overcast, kind of very cloudy but also rainy weather. It's still going to be during the day, but in my opinion, it's by far one of the most realistic times the game looks at its best. So, for example, you're going to see a lot of reflections and wet surfaces, which contribute to just making everything a lot more realistic. Also really great for those types of screenshots, by the way. And finally, if you want to go almost during the evening when the sun is setting, you can head over right here in the Central Park, and this is going to bring you that really nice, beautiful sky that's slowly fading to night. So you will see that color palette transition that's absolutely stunning. Again, for screenshots, if you want to take them from the sky, they definitely look amazing. But did you ever want to just go up into the stratosphere or fly by all the passing by planes? Well, there's actually a very easy trick to pull this off. You will need some of the upgrades, however, including the spider dash and the jump, as well as the aerial escapades, as we will want to just replenish these ASAP. Plus, it's also good to have active spider, as this is going to give you some more jump distance and height for these abilities. So for the first part of the trick, you're going to want to master holding down square and spamming triangle while you're holding down square. Essentially, holding square lets you do the air tricks, and if you spam triangle during those, you can essentially break the animation and replenish those dashes and jumps way faster. Once the cooldown is up, follow up with an L1 plus triangle and immediately an L1 plus X. So always do the dash first and then the jump later, as this gives you a lot more altitude. Plus, it seems that playing as Peter instead of Miles is a lot better, as its animations are more vertical, especially on the jump. But this is actually pretty funny because for the first time you can actually fly by some of these airplanes. So I did pull off a few tricks you can check out right now. Yeah, they do tend to fly over very fast, but you can still pull off the slow motion effect and kind of get these really cinematic kind of, just scenes going on. Now, unfortunately, they aren't solid objects, so you will clip through them. If you want to crash into one, you're just going to pass through them, like some of the other boats in the distance when you break the map limit. Another thing about them is that I don't even think they are actually their own objects, but in fact just helicopters with an airplane skin. So yeah, if you go past them, you're going to hear some of these helicopter rotors instead of jet engines, and I guess it makes sense. It's easier to pull that off. You can even see some of the animation points at the top and the bottom of the cockpit, or well, close to the cockpit area, in which I guess Insomniac kind of put on some reference points to animate these before throwing them very high up into the sky. You can of course reach the upper limits of the atmosphere. I only went as far as some of these upper area clouds. I'm not sure if you can push any forward than that, but it's going to take quite a bit of time. However, you will see the map limits. It's actually an absolutely massive map, all things considered, so props to Insomniac for giving us so much world space to enjoy. You can probably push a little bit higher than this, but I believe these should be the upper limits. Now moving on to number 3, one of my favorite aspects of the story when playing as Peter with the symbiote suit was the fact that his whole dialogue and demeanor changed to a lot more cool ones. So his dialogues changed, the way he reacted to things was a lot more brutal and a lot more mean than anything. And if you actually check some of the interactions in the game, you will notice that they changed depending if you wear the black suit or not. For example, if you go on the May's grave right here up north side, you're going to have different dialogues for Peter if he has the black suit on or any of the other non-symbiote suits.
Parker Luck's back with a vengeance. No more helping one at a time. Not with this suit.
But an even bigger one is an option to just change his entire dialogue and reactions during crime activities or when taking down enemies back to when he wore the symbiote during the main story, because he was at his most brutal during these moments. So here, have a listen.
There he is!
Okay, robots, where's your kill switch?
Talk about weak.
They might lose the cops, but they can't lose me. It's the spider! Get him off our tail! You guys want to go fast? Let's go fast! That felt good.
Now, since we were on the subject of attention to detail, one of the biggest you probably didn't pay attention to is the sound itself. There are many sound effects that actually depend on the weather as well as the suit that you currently have equipped. So for example, if you're using your wingsuit during the rainy days, you're going to hear water droplets hitting that almost as if it was hitting some kind of umbrella fabric. So here, go ahead and have another listen. Even cooler is that suits like, for example, this one, the Wakanda Forever for Miles, whenever you're moving around, your footsteps will not produce any sounds when you have this one equipped, compared to all the others that do generate a lot of sounds. So this is in fact very lore accurate. This is exactly how it is supposed to be. It's not a glitch, and it's a nice attention to detail that Insomniac added. So totally worth it, but it's not going to be completely that silent. For example, going through bushes is still going to produce some of those leaf sound effects. But let's keep on going, because I think I found the missing crowds in Marvel Spider-Man. And if you head over right here to this area of the map in downtown Brooklyn, you're probably going to find all the missing NPCs and big crowds that were present in the previous games. So initially, it doesn't really look suspicious. You just have a bunch of NPCs sitting in front of buildings, and you will occasionally see others coming outside of these doors. However, if you linger around and stay for like 10-15 minutes, you will see that they constantly pop out of the building, constantly spawning, up until the point that there's gonna be a huge crowd of people over here just gathering by. Now, the thing about them is that they don't really do anything else. They just stare blankly at, well, the wall in front of them, and they will occasionally react to Spider-Man as most other civilians will do. I think that out of all the glitches I've seen up until now, this is by far the most strange, but at the same time, all of these NPCs did not seem to affect my FPS in any way, so it's totally possible for the PlayStation 5 to at least hold bigger crowds. Here's me hoping that in the future, Insomniac will add bigger NPC density around New York and not just keep it for cars and the traffic. And last but definitely not the least, it seems that there's a very strange interactions when changing to or from our symbiote suits, which completely finish off any challenge in an instant. So to give you an example, in the case of the symbiote nests, if you head over there and start the challenge by placing down the bomb, if you immediately change to a symbiote suit or from a symbiote suit to a different one, doesn't matter as long as you trigger that 1-2 second black loading screen, this is going to immediately jump over that 2-minute countdown timer and essentially immediately finish off the entire challenge, which I guess is pretty handy if you want to just complete these ASAP. But there's a very strange interaction here that I think it has to do with the fact that the game also loads some extra animations and different things behind the scenes. And that's because when you equip some of these symbiote suits, you also get some of the tendril effects on the jump and the dash animations, plus the wings and the webs, they also change. So I think it relates to that. So it definitely seems that there's a slight time skip that happens, which also triggers those specific timers to immediately jump and finish off the entire quest for you. I'm not sure if it works for anything else, but it seems that at least for the symbiote nests, it's by far the best if you want to instantly finish them. But this is it with the video. Thanks so much for watching. We're gonna get very close to 500k subs by the end of the year, so if you want to be part of the process, and also this would help me out a ton, totally make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.